Well, if that had been a fly, you could have got a legend point from yourself.
I
But
know. It's just like a little fruit fly.
all right. Greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome back to the Inn of Planar Crossroads. I'm making sure y'all say something real quick so we can make sure that you guys are being recorded.
Greetings
Something
and
real quick.
salutations. Oh, yeah, that was better, Levi.
Yeah. Good deal.
You're welcome.
There you go. It all came across, so that means we are ready to go. We are here discussing this time. It's technically Around the Hearth, but it's actually going to be going in a different one. This is the Around the Hearth group, but it's going to be going into house specials because
sweet.
we are talking about the realm of Atar and doing some world building. So it felt like it would be more appropriate to go into the kind of world building section. Yeah. So we'll get into that in a second. But first, let's get into announcements. Always less than 5 minutes. You can time me. Here we go. For my part, anyway, the announcements for this time. No progress has really been made. Well, this is going to come out next week. No, week after next. So I haven't made a lot of progress at the moment working with the webpage, but Lord willing, it will be all right once we get everything, once I at least get a few things done. Like I said, I'm no web designer. I do some graphic stuff with my hands, but that's about it. So we are going to hopefully be able to get something worked around on that after they hire a few people on. But Lord willing, that'll happen quickly. The Adventure Academia that this is for is going to be starting up soon, so there will be kind of like a schedule shift because each week that we're doing the homeschool group, we share the reflection that I have on the Adventure Academia. So that'll change a little bit on how we're doing our releases. I still think we'll probably do our releases on the Around the Hearths that come out twice a month, but the other releases for Adventures Misadventures, those might be a little bit more spotty because of needing to have time to actually do the things I need to do. So to get these ready and posted. So there is that. I think that's everything that I actually have as far as announcements. We are really close to the 1,000 subs. So we're at 980 something. Maybe by the time this come out, we might be 990, which I better get some working on that PDF to get done.
Ooh.
So
Yeah, dude.
I figured out how to print to get things scanned into the computer. So you guys that voted in the poll voted for me to do some art for it, or voted for there to be art for it. So hopefully you can put up with my doodles, because that's what it's going to be. Unless you guys see this and have somebody who wants to volunteer for getting some spotlight. I don't know, but other than that, it's going to be me. So
Yeah.
I think that's everything.
I should say,
now.
I know some people who might, but I don't know.
Well, we'll be willing to shout them out. In fact, they'd get shouted out almost every time we spotlighted the art. So they'd be shouted out
fair.
a few times. So if you know somebody, link.
I
let me
can
know
ask
in the
around.
comments below, and Levi will work it out too. And if I have people to do art for me, then I can just do the art as I want, and then that means that more stuff can be published. Oh. So anyway, that's all I've got. All right. So Dan, what do you got for announcements?
Oh, hello. Just the basics. Dan from Avenue Studios. You can find us on YouTube, Rumble, anywhere podcasts are found. And we will have some of the collaborations we did within the Planar Crossroads when they were up in June soon. I'm not 100% sure about the actual game yet, because that depends on how Bomb Squad goes. But you will see Adam in one of our special sessions in Bomb Squad at some point. In the near future, yes. There'll be a Druid's table.
You still got another one to release before our game can come out, right?
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out the right balance, and plus we're gonna start shooting again September, so I gotta get editing done. But we'll make it happen. Make it happen. But we are also doing live streaming on Wednesdays. Originally, I've been saying Twitch. We decided to keep everything within the YouTube sphere. So our live streaming is Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern. And let's see, if this is coming out in 2 weeks, we'll be very close to starting in September. We start Pathfinder 2nd Edition steampunk game. So that'll be really fun. It's going to have a couple of our patrons and local supporters, Kristen and I, Jacob from Jacob's Lab running it. And I think we're playing in an outlaw game. Outlaws of something. I can't remember right now.
Alkenstar?
Alkenstar, thank you. Yes, we are playing Outlaws of Alkenstar. That's why I keep nerd friends around with me.
Hey.
Thank you. Yeah, so we'll be running that through September and maybe longer. It depends on, if we survive or not, which I gave it a 50-50. So, but yeah, that's pretty much us. Find us Wednesdays live streaming and Fridays and Saturdays usually, Bomb Squad, Jake's Lab, and then keep your eyes out for that special game with Adam.
Yeah. I play a bad guy. So
it went quite well. I'm very excited to put it together.
Yeah.
It really did.
I think everybody had fun, but I'm kind of like Michelle said. She does the same thing. She thinks over things after she said them, and it's like over and over and over again in her head. So yeah, I do the same thing. So
it's so good.
Yeah.
Well, and I want to plan. We had a to be continued ending, so at some point we'll have to do either a live stream game or recorded through virtually to see what happens. Finish it out. I'd rather finish it out before next year, but if it ends up that takes that long, so be it. And Adam can come back out or something.
Yeah. So if you guys want to see more collaborations between the Planar Crossroads and Avenue Studios in person, support both of us at Patreon, me at Subscribestar, and then both of us also again at Locals. So there we go.
Awesome.
All right. Any more announcements before Levi does his spotlight?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. All right, Levi. What's our spotlight today?
Today I will be shouting out Crunch McDabbles. Amusingly, Pathfinder 2e creator, although I shout those out a decent amount.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So Crunch McDabbles, the Crunch in this case, is discussing going more in depth on the specific rules in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Going into some of the math between certain options. Will show up the resources from the books that they're referencing, and do pretty in-depth discussions on specific topics in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. So this is really if you want to get a stronger handle on the mechanics of PF2E, I think Crunch McDabbles would be a good channel to swing by.
All right. Cool beans.
I did a double snap with finger guns that no one can see because I don't need the camera.
There you
We
go.
felt
Thank
it.
you.
I got you back for it. You got you done.
I appreciate it.
So I'll take him back to the chat. All right. So I guess check out Crunch McDabbles, and that's our shout out, which means you all should sit down, travelers. Come in, get cozy by the hearth, and relax your bones while we discuss the realm of Atar and world building for the realm of Atar. So, in case you guys didn't know, I usually don't have a specific title when we go into these. So it's like world building for realm of Atar or Atar. So get your drinks, and we'll do that. So,
Skål.
oh. All right. So now, let's get into this. So I'll switch us over in the recording, and I will start us up with the share again, a window, and the realm of Atar. All right.
Woohoo.
So I am building a, for those of you that have been watching, we have the realm of Atar and you got to see this this landmass here that I have. And this was one of my doodles, so if you like this doodle, there's probably more where that's come from, because I ain't, like I said, unless someone volunteers, this is what it's going to be. So
looks good to me, man.
yeah. So okay, as far as the world building has gone, you guys should be able to see what I pull up. So I'm breaking them into season 1 and season 2, like I've been saying. And here, where are those at? There they are. It's the journal entries. Season 1 is right here, and they went through, and they came from this area in here. Let me pull up my doodle map. They came from right in here. Right about there is where the city of bronze is. I don't have the cities on this on it yet. This is just the landmass. But I've got the city of bronze here, or the city of towers. This is where most everything is. And I'm coming into this assuming that you viewers also have some background knowledge. So, since it's going to be in that playlist. So, this is where it is. And I don't think I have the token on this one, but I will put it on the screen for the type of tower that I'm talking about. And the City of Bronze and the City of Towers uses those towers to have a protective field to protect them from the colored dragons. The red dragon, the green dragon, and the yellow dragon. So that is where this location is. The center land has been the safest place in general to be, period. So, was there something specific that you guys thought up while you were doing your homework, or anything like that? But if you guys have something specific, like a question or something you wanted clarified before we dive too deeply into what I'm wanting to build out this time, let me know. Switch this.
I don't want to speak for Levi. I don't have anything. I'm sure things are going to come up, but I was curious. In the void of whatever you want to focus on, really.
Yeah, I'm definitely at the stage of I'm not sure what your next goal is, and that is the most helpful, like, knowing what my goal is the most helpful thing for realizing what information I need.
Okay, so let's go ahead and do that then. So
I'm loving this stuff so far. I love the center land imagery.
Yes.
It looks like probably a crater or meteor. So I don't know. My imagination starts going. So
yes, it is a blown out
or
caldera.
magical. Okay. Yes, that's right. Right.
So that's where a volcano used to be before big boom. So
in scientific language.
Big boom scientific. So I will zoom in a little bit so that we can see it a bit better. Okay. So this main river is the River Robinette, and it leads all the way down the center of basically the whole landmass. And it is the main thing. It's one of the reasons that the City of Spires is there, the City of Towers. This little tributary river comes from where the party will be starting Season 2. Right in this kind of area here. And it is where Seven Falls is. The little town that they're going to be in. I say little town.
And are you keeping... Yeah. You're keeping all the same characters, or forgive me if this is... if I should have known this, but... Or... Because I know we'll be talking about characters later, but... Are you just adding into the party? Are you swapping it out for the kids to play different characters, or...
They are going to be basically starting out at the same place, with starting out with basically the same party, But Remigius lost his legs in the last episode, in the epilogue. Not for a specific reason necessarily, but it felt like a good narrative thing to have happen and work out. So it wasn't necessarily because of any bad rolls, but it was something that seemed to be appropriate for the story as it was going, because their roles weren't necessarily amazing. And also I wanted to introduce something different for them, to maybe each of the one leading up to the finale. So each battle with the dragon up to a finale might introduce a different character to give them a variety and exchange out and build out the world in that sense. Because all the world building has to be done very quick, in very small snippets, because of the format that this is in. So Seven Falls is right there. Gateway to the Spine is another thing that it's called, because the dwarves, or the stone folk as they're called, are this whole eastern section is the spine. And on the other side, I don't have a name for it yet, but it has its own different name for that range.
Okay.
And there are, in this setting, and this might help inform y'all some, so we're going to say, hold on, me. Right in this area, I'm going to make a quick note of stone folk and jewel bones. Mainly. Just so we can come back to that in a second. But let me come here to the races of Atar. So, Ata are humans. So you got Atar, and the Ata live there. And so if I ever export them to another setting, I'll have, these are specifically Ata humans.
Nice. Yeah.
So, and humans is the placeholder for them. Humans in this setting are, as it says, the most populous and stuff like that. Did you guys watch the race video?
Yep.
Oh, good. So, did you get to watch the race video, Levi?
Not fully.
Not fully, but okay. So, some of this you may know then, but some of it you probably might not. So the Ata are mainly humans, or at least what could be called humans in this particular setting. You've got the Beastkin, which are animal races that do not exhibit specific proclivity to either side of their animal and animal genetics until they reach basically puberty, and they start to veer off into one or the other. And it is not specific.
Okay.
It's not specific to families. So a Minotaur can have a serpent folk child, a Minotaur pair can have a serpent folk child, and all that. There's a variety in there. In the way they breed, they do not breed true. They do not breed genetically true. There's reasons for that.
Well, in this case, it might be fair to say that as opposed to genetically, there isn't a sense of genetically true, because it almost sounds more like a magical transformation.
That wouldn't be too far off of what their race origin is, but they don't even know their race origin, so I'm not spoiling anything yet.
Well, so imagine, I think from their perspective, like, of course, beast and beast make beast.
And they may...
I don't think that the specific would be considered part of the species in their head.
And that probably is pretty true to how they look at it. And this one is one that I'm interested to see where it goes, because right now we have the Minotaur, or the bull Beastkin, and he's in the party. He's Wilhelm, so he's their big frontline fighter. And we have one Ata human who is Hildegard the healer, and technically we have another Ata human, which is Maximilian, but he was transformed by a magical explosion, so he's now a 2-foot possum that wears mage robes and stuff. But that's that's neither here nor there at the moment. So the Atar, the Beastkin, the Jewel Bones are going to play, are not going to play as much of a role this time as they did last time, because last season they were the big deal that they were trying to save. They had to save some of these Jewel Bones, which are gnomes in the traditional sense of gnomes, not gnomes like Pathfinder or D&D gnomes. So they are going to be set up in the background mainly, because the Jewel Bones are very populous in this particular area of the spine, but not so much in the other side. So
Okay.
they'll be populated right here, and I'll move this just a little bit, because the group is going to be going this way into the Eastern Woodlands. So the Eastern Woodlands and the Moonlight Grove is where they're going to be going, but they're starting in Seven Falls. So the Jewel Bones mainly stay right here close to this, because they are only about 1.5 feet, 2 foot tall. Let me see, what did I put? 2 to 2.5 feet tall. So they're not very big. And they're heavy. Their bones are literally made of jewels, but they are not particularly tall and staturous, I guess you'd say. Not statuesque.
They have a large density, not volume.
Indeed. And so they're going to be mainly here in Seven Falls is where they're going to be having the contact with him. The little ones are going to be populating this place a lot, right in here. The Eastern Woodlands here has a lot of Fae type influence in it. So they're going to be there, and that's basically sprites and Fae. Like any kind of sprite or brownie is a little one. And then the soft steps or halflings, those are mainly in the Centerland. Not likely to see one in their adventure this time. But when we get to the Starborn are basically the elf. But they're, and this may be something that you guys know that I don't. I've not seen a lot of elves in the way that I've done these. The Starborn surname, and I'll read this because it hasn't actually been read, I don't think. The Starborn surnames are usually astrologically related. They grow as they age, so their height varies greatly. By adulthood, they're usually at least 3 feet tall, but some of the oldest elves have been known to reach around 12 feet. It is unclear how long the elves truly live. Some people claim they're immortal, but the elves refuse to clarify if this is actually true. And before I dive into them, the Stone Children will probably play a bigger role in the first or second episode. Those are the dwarves. And gnomes and dwarves, it kind of worked out with the way I do my languages. Dwarvish and anything kind of dwarvish speaks Russian, or that's how I do it.
Nice. Yeah.
And the word for dwarf in Russian is gnome. So, gnome. So they basically are the same race. They consider themselves the same race, I should say. Dwarves and gnomes consider themselves the same race. But the gnomes were the first ones to venture out. So they know the Ata humans called them gnomes, because that's what they called themselves. But when they made it to the spine, they found out that there's a very different breed of gnomes that they call dwarf. That we kind of short to dwarf, but they would call Stone Children. So
that's great.
Okay.
So that can marinate in y'all's brain pans while I go into a bit of the Starborn, because they will be playing a larger role. The Beastkin and the Starborn and the sprites will be mainly in this area. because this is where Grum is. Grum is the green dragon that the party will be slaying. Actually, hopefully the finale for this season will be Grum. So the kids will get to fight a dragon. So they were after me They were after me last time to fight the dragon, and I was like, "You guys are not strong enough to fight a dragon. You guys over here want to kill the dragon." Oh, it would be so bad if one of them dies too. Oh well. Anyway, it probably be Wilhelm, which would be fitting since he's the one that came to get them to fight the dragon. But so we've got the Eastern Woodlands, and up here in the north part is... I'll lay this down. So up here in this wooded portion here is the Moonlight Grove, and it stretches across this way, all the way over to these islands. The Starborn, or the elves of this setting, are highly influenced and connected to astrological things, and not just in name or in aesthetic. They hold a belief that they aren't even from around Atar. They claim to be from somewhere else, some other star, they say, and the stars call to them, and it is not certain if they breed in the normal sense, because they don't seem to. It's almost like they kind of look at it like they'll watch the stars and they'll say, a new star has appeared, one of us has been born, or something along those lines. And so right around that time, they usually there is another child found that is an infant elf or an infant starborn. So it is very, very, it is a mystical connection that is not just out there in some kind of legend. There seems to be some deep connection to the stars. And I envision, and you guys can kind of put your info in on this if you want to, that their growth, being about 3 foot tall at what is considered adulthood, is fine, but as they get more of a longing, more of the star longing, they are actually feeling themselves pulled, and they grow to that pulling, and that's why they get so much taller and grow.
That's cool.
They're literally growing and being pulled into the sky, and no one's seen them. Well, I mean, they've seen them die from violence, but they haven't seen them die of old age. So it's not always certain. They're not pretty elves necessarily. They are very pale, and their eyes are usually have very wide pupils because they spend most of their time nocturnal. Most of the time they're at night. And I imagine as they grow, they don't get a whole bunch more meat on their bones and grow tall. They stretch out. It's like they're being stretched and pulled up. So they get really tall and lanky instead. Kind of like those things in the Dark Crystal at the end.
Oh, man, yes.
So
my wife loves that film.
It's a good one. Pretty good.
Yeah. Ooh. But I really like that, because as you were reading the little synopsis, I was almost getting, I don't know even exactly why, but I was getting an Ent sort of feel. So that idea that something in nature is pulling them away from, pulling them out of it, like the Ents slowly becoming tree-ish. So that makes a lot of sense. I like that.
And I don't think I've heard anything particularly close on most details, but I know I have heard some things where, like, elves are aliens.
Yeah. Even the Pathfinder elves are actually alien.
Right.
Well, from Castrovel specifically, I believe.
Yeah. Specifically from Castrovel. They're alien to Golarion, but
I was just going to say
everything's alien from Golarion to us. So.
But in the, like, Pathfinder First Edition setting, they are aliens because Golarion is the world we are interacting with.
Right.
I don't know why, but I like the idea that just the existence of a community of elves means that, like, baby starfolk will form.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, like, it's literally like a magical presence that when enough of them are gathered together. So it works in a similar way that, like, oh, the larger of a number of people in this area, the more total people will be born. Not in a direct correlation, they live too long for that to be really feasible.
Yeah. Well,
But, like... I was just gonna say, like, their existence magically creates more of them. And maybe the magic of the stars. I kind of like the idea of their astrological sign being something that has some other meaning that's real.
Oh, like they're born under, like, in our world it would be Cancer. It literally has an effect on their abilities and things.
Yeah, like, maybe it has something to do with the type of magic they could do if they wanted to, where it has, you know, it would make sense to me that, like, depending on the state of the astrological signs, if that is part of what births them, that it could have a literal biological impact.
That actually holds interesting implications for the character that we're going to build here in the next section.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking too, that's a great little tidbit of world building you could throw in too, because a lot of times constellations are stories we remember. So however the elves, if they use constellations that way though, who knows, but
That's true.
you could throw in something. It's like, oh, this, you were born under this, you're meant for war, or you're meant for learning, you know, something, depending on what story is being told in the sky.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
you were found under blocked stars. You are meant for stealth in the night.
The night, there were no stars during your birth. You are the dark child, or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good PC backstory, classic.
So that's interesting. I do like that. And I imagine somewhere in this swath here, I imagine that right here on this island, they have an observatory of some kind, specifically because they can do it where there's very little interference atmospherically. And that's why they like the north also.
Yeah, that's cool.
We are assuming that the elves are decently in tune with, like, life magic, or other... What kind of magic would we say they're in tune with?
I mean, mechanically? Oh.
Stereotypically.
So, for this one, I'd say that they'd probably... I'd say creation at some point, in some ways, but almost a mix of creation and energy. As far as mechanically.
So I was gonna mean, like, in lore.
Oh, in lore?
Right, like dwarves would be with, like, rocks and earth and gems, and that's kind of what they would be more tied to. What are the elves?
The stars and astrological things, and even, I would venture to say, magic of the void, perhaps, or the space between stars.
So, like, space and cold and divination?
Yeah, definitely divination. Definitely. Divination, and it's probably the most heavy, because I imagine them kind of like the centaur, the esoteric nature of the centaur in Harry Potter, in the forest.
Okay.
Narnia has that kind of feel too. They watch the stars.
Yeah, they don't necessarily answer questions directly. They'll just tell you Mars is bright tonight, or the eye of the dragon is closed tonight, or something like that.
That's cool.
So, all right. Well, we're coming up on the 10-minute mark already. That's what happens when we start talking about setting stuff.
Too many bloopers.
Yeah, too many bloopers.
No, you're right, though. It is setting stuff. It's so good.
Okay. So
What else what's priorities for you?
as far as priorities, we've got the I know where they're starting right here. I have a suspicion that Grum is somewhere around this area, and I want to get them from here, from this spot right here, to Grum, basically. And Grum's somewhere in here.
Okay.
Because there's 2 port cities over here that I don't have put on, that Grum kind of cuts off. So I'm trying to decide if I want them to go down the spine or if I want them to go through the woods. They're going to have a druid, so wood travel would be possible, and a lot of Grum's activity is in the wood, so it makes it more dangerous. It makes it more dangerous for interacting with Grum's goblins. Makes it less dangerous if they go here for that, but it makes it more dangerous for travel because it's treacherous. So that's probably something I'll present the kids with. And
I was going to ask how much you wanted to present to them, because that could be interesting to see what they desire.
Yeah. The first episode of the first time we go through is probably going to be a deciding of what they're going to do and having them roll for certain things in that exploration. And then next we'll deal with it. So,
gotcha. Would they, either way, regardless of the path, are you still planning on them interacting more with the little ones and the Starborn? Or if they do choose to stay near the mountain, will you bring in more of the dwarves and gnomes?
I probably will ask both party, because I'm doing 2 classes and they may pick different things. Yeah. So
yes,
I'm pretty sure either way I'm going to bring them back around to meeting down into the woods, but I'd like them to have some input on how that plays out. So they will probably, if they do travel this way, the second session, not the second one, perhaps the second one, will take them in, if not the third, into the woods.
Gotcha.
If they go, don't go into the woods, then they'll have to do that.
Gotcha.
I'll see what they want to do, and then we'll work it out. So.
Okay, so that's just for a session. That's really fun. That'll be great to see. I hope each one chooses different just for you.
Just for me? Yeah. Well, there's only 2 choices. Yeah, there's only 2 choices, and there are only 2 classes, so.
Right. Run the numbers on that, somebody.
Yeah.
You have roughly a 50. Well, for them to both be the same. Yeah, it's a 50-50 roughly.
Yep.
Sounds about right.
So.
Okay.
But that's what we've got there. The Beastkin are down in here. We may do a thing where we make up some of the Beastmen at some point, but I figure that the more reptilian Beastmen tend to go down this way, the Beastkin, because you have this whole Delta region here.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, I can definitely see, there might be other things where they will be more around each other, but it's like, hey, you went through puberty. You can try and stick it out here if you really want to, but it's not going to be a fun time.
Yeah, like that Minotaur couple that has a Naga. The winter's going to be harsh on that Naga.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah, that would be really interesting.
But okie dokie. We're probably going to get
future. That could be a great quest. Be like, hey, our kid just grew up into a type of they're an adult now, but they've never traveled that far. We're polar bears in the Arctic, and they're a snake.
There's some grizzly bear versions, or there's some bear kin that live up here with the elves.
Yeah.
And they have a Naga kid.
Yeah, and it's our kid needs somewhere warmer, please.
Classic babysitting expedition.
Yeah.
And relocation in this case.
Yep.
They've got an uncle once removed on his mother's side that's down in the swamps. He turned into
Yeah.
a gator or something.
It's like, yeah, I've got like a, like there was a group of kids I was real good friends with when I was younger, but it was too hot for me there, and they all turned into something close enough for the area.
Yeah. It would make some interesting stories to tell. Because
Yeah, family dynamics would be interesting for that. Anyways, we're getting sidetracked.
yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good. It's all good.
All right. So that's just us jabbering about the setting. For you viewers, you will get next week, after this comes out, the new character. So that should be fun for y'all. It is going to be Devereaux the Druid. I am quite fond of iteration, so that is what I did.
Love it.
So that's the plan for that one. Do you guys have anything to go over before we finish this call up and start the other one?
I don't think so. I'm excited for the kids to beat the Starborn, the elves, and see how that goes, because I think that's gonna be a lot of fun. Quite a shift from season 1 to season 1 also.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right.
But yeah.
Okie dokie then. So that's that. Excuse me. I will make sure that we get you guys taken care of for that viewing of the next one then. But we hope you have enjoyed this one and us kind of discussing the setting that I've been making. Maybe we'll do another setting sometime, like we discussed Dan's setting or something like that.
Oh boy. I don't have pretty drawings though.
I ain't got no pretty drawings. Nothing. I don't know. Well, see, there's ways to fix that. But certain people have to have a bit more detail on what the landmass looks like.
Yeah. That would mean actually solidifying it.
Uh-oh. Okay.
I'm just teasing. It's solidified. I started a map in
As
Photoshop.
solid as Jello.
Yep. I like it.
There's
that
something to it, but
way. Just enough.
Does that mean that it was cosmically boiled from the bones of the past world? Ooh.
Well, First Father did lay down his body for the world, so.
Oh, it literally is.
Yeah,
Oh,
it literally is.
That's why it's Jello. That's why it's Jello. All right, with that acknowledgement,
Yeah.
have a great day. God bless and enjoy. Bye.
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 This content was made possible by travelers and viewers like you. Thank you.
Oh, the call is about to end. We are so good.
One.
And
Bye.
Yeah,
Bye.
pretty much.